Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Namofsky. On today's episode, we're discussing female empowerment and gender-based violence. And Karol, before we went to commercial break, we were talking about women during COVID lockdowns.
Yes, Elizabeth. So during the pandemic, we were able to witness how gender-based violence can affect women. And why do I say that? For instance, in my country during 2020, out of 110,000 cases of allegations of domestic violence that were reported to the prosecutor's office, more than 75%, more than 80,000 came from women, for example. That is a clear example of gender-based violence. Take, for instance, sexual harassment or something that we as women get to experience in our everyday life, is street harassment. The idea that there are forms of violence that are specifically directed to or disproportionately, it's a better word, disproportionately affect women. It's what is at the center or at the core of the notion or of the concept of gender-based violence.
So I want to take it to the next level right now because I want to talk about financial independence. And I know it's crucial to prevent gender-based violence. Let's talk about that right now, just so that people can understand why finance is important.
One of the core notions about female empowerment, or one of the things we talk about when we talk about female empowerment, has to do with how women can be independent, and that includes financial independence. One of the reasons why is because research has shown that it is extremely hard for women that are economically dependent on their partners, to remove themselves from circles of violence or from contexts of violence. Imagine a woman who is a housewife and that has suffered from domestic violence. If they don't have the financial means to remove themselves from that situation, it is unlikely that they will be able to do so. So financial independence has everything to do with the possibility for some women to even be able to take the decision to remove themselves from a violent situation that they are experiencing at home.
You know, that's one of the reasons why I'm a strong believer in financial literacy. And that's one of the reasons why I've often said, no matter what kind of a relationship you're in, whether it's a good relationship or a bad relationship, make sure you have your own bank account or your own means of money as well, because you never know when things will go bad. You never know when things will turn, and you never know when you're going to need that money to support yourself.
Absolutely. It's something that I love about the concept of female empowerment is the idea that even if you have a partner, you're still an individual and you need to have your own life project. You need to have your own finances. You need to still be able to take financially independent decisions. And that, again, I want to repeat, has everything to do with the possibility for some women to remove themselves from circles of violence. Because if you don't have the means to do so, especially if you have kids, or put on that picture kids, right?
Yeah.
And how you want a stable life for them, then you will continue to sacrifice your well-being and sometimes, unfortunately, your whole life, just because you don't have the means to do something different or to picture a different life.
I want to talk about gender stereotypes right now, because a lot of people think, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, stereotypes don't hurt anyone. Let's talk about how gender stereotypes play a role in all of this.
Well, gender stereotypes, if you would describe it somehow, you would say they are like ideas that people have about how something should look like. So for women, it is the ideas around how we should look like, how we should behave, how we should talk, and how our whole life system should look like. And they affect us disproportionately because they create like a bubble of expectations around us. They dictate how we perceive we have opportunities to live our life. And especially they determine how free we feel to make choices outside of those, let's call them boxes, that are put into our imagination or into our belief systems of what things are desirable to us. stereotypical, and we'll maybe should discuss about the Barbie movie later and how it pictures like the stereotypical Barbie and how she looks like, and whether or not we imagine ourselves outside the boundaries of the stereotypes of
Carol?
those rules that tell us.